Hello, and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy, episode 123 for the week of September 9th, 2013. Back to normal schedule. Well, no, I guess we were back last week, too, so that's fine. My name is Ryan Higgins, who's here with me this week.
We were back last week. We recorded on Wednesday last week.
Oh, we did record on Wednesday last week.
Jesus,
oh, that's
are you
right.
all right?
No, I'm
awesome.
not. I've started to get a cold, and I can feel it. I don't remember this morning.
We should record
so
on Wednesday all the time.
I'd be down with that.
Yeah.
But no.
Wait.
But no.
Wait, I don't get it. You just said I'd be down with that, but no? What kind of hypocritical thing is that?
Tuesday's much better if we could get the Tuesday recording day.
Maybe. We'll see. I mean, Wednesday is cool because the books just came out.
Yeah.
But I would
And
not
you don't have to worry about the quote-unquote spoiler before people could actually read it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think Monday we have the whole week behind us to now reflect on. Wednesday, it's like you're right in the thick of it, and like there's no way I could read not that I read any of them anyway, but there's no way I could read a single book by Wednesday night. There's not a chance. There's no way. Not working all day.
You read in general?
Yeah, I do sometimes, occasionally.
Sometimes only halfway through.
Yeah. Infinity. Anyway, Brock.
Brock Sager's here.
Who else is here?
Toby.
And Charlie.
Welcome, guys. Now, Toby.
Yes.
I know you didn't want to do it this way, but we're going to do it this way. Can we finish talking about Second Coming, please?
Yay!
Tell us what you think of Second Coming.
I liked it.
Okay.
Thanks a lot,
Now,
Bryce.
you've read like 900 X-Men books in the last 3 weeks.
Thanks a lot, Bryce. I've read more in the last month than I had in the last 5 years.
Last Wednesday when we were recording, you came here 2 hours earlier, and you were like cramming in the back room like a
I was trying really hard.
freshman college student.
I know.
What was going on?
It's like high school all over again, man. Thanks a lot, Bryce, motherfucker. No, I really wanted to give it the right amount of time that I was supposed to with this trilogy of books, where he was annoying enough to pick the end, where I have to read everything in the beginning too. I really liked it. I felt sometimes the book was a little disjointed, but that's kind of what you get with multiple writers, multiple creators, multiple writers. Multiple artists. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. I personally feel like if this was written as more of a miniseries, I would have liked it better, because you would have had a more linear thing, maybe non-repeating thing, or one character drops off here and just shows up on another end. It'll make more sense. I feel some of the stuff, it's hard to do. That's why I probably would have preferred as a miniseries. But as a 90s X-Men fan, I thought this was pretty epic. I thought it was pretty fun. The whole time I was thinking of Charlie, because he's the Cable guy. I was like, ooh, Charlie must love this. Ooh, Charlie must have loved that. I like the Bishop backstory.
Well, you mentioned that. Well, we should actually read a few of the people that talked about this on the forums. Red Shirt over on the Geekbox forum on Facebook. He said, where was it? Let's see. No, just to see. Like Charlie, I'm a huge Cable fan. Well, the story points really led you to the conclusion they were going to quote-unquote kill him off. I just don't like the actual execution. It was vague, silent, and a bit stiff. At least he had a better funeral. Did they kill him off in this? I don't even remember that.
Yes, they do.
Wait,
what,
are we
for
talking
half
about
a
Cable
minute?
or Kurt?
Well, no, he was dead until the
Cable.
Extinction.
extinction.
Yeah, he gave himself up to save the people to come back from the future.
It's all fucking blurs.
Cable opened the portal back up so that Wolverine and X-Force could come back and survive.
Which is one of the, noble deaths are cool. I like that. I didn't quite I understand that he's the only one who may have been able to make it through because he was part technology, and anything living was getting torn apart trying to make it through. I don't see how having him hold it open allowed others to go through. That was a little plot hole-ish.
Well, I feel like there's a lot of plot holes in this just because of being a multi-crossover of books. Yeah. And also what it's kind of weird. I like and don't like at the same time is you have all these side characters in there that if you as a reader or someone that hasn't read in a while comes in and go, who the hell is this guy and this guy? Now, if I was currently reading, I would have been like, this is cool that they involve some of these new mutants that I call them in there. And some of these new characters in and put them into the big X-Men stories. I thought that was nice to do that. On the other hand, that was also it's negative about it. That as someone else coming in, go, who the hell are these guys, or why is this guy only getting 2 seconds? Yet he has a night spread. Like there's a lot of pages where you turn around, I'm like, ooh, there's a beautiful shot of Storm, but
So what you're saying is
I haven't seen Storm in like 5 pages, but she's in the story. So I mean. I like it. I don't like it at the same time.
So Toby, what you're actually saying is that if Marvel AR was out during this time, they could have used that to be like, this is this character.
Shut up, Brock. I also like the Gambit story. I actually kind of wish there was more of it. Like, I wish there was more of the old Gambit stuff. Explaining why Bishop was maybe. I mean, the whole Bishop story is really cool. I actually really enjoyed that. It was the second part on the second book. I kind of wish maybe that
was a 3-part miniseries they did.
Yeah, and I kind of wish that they showed that maybe Gambit screwing him over. That's why he came back from the future and he goes, Gambit, you're a traitor. I kind of almost want to wish there was a explanation between that history, but I didn't get that unless I missed it. I did go through these books really fast, so it was kind of trying to cram it in. But no, totally liked it. Anoni Mousy says the whole... wait, that's not anymore. Yeah, it is. He says the whole prophecy thing has gotten a bit old. While I loved the lead up, I wasn't impressed with the final execution of Tobe's powers and her stopping Bastion, especially since it was hard to tell exactly what was going on at all times. There were some good character points and there were some horrible ones. I'm sure I'll have more thoughts later, but I'll give the series a 7 out of 10. That's 7 Bryces out of 10. I'll probably give it a 7 out of 10 is pretty good, but, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. I enjoyed the series quite a bit. There's some confusing parts. I know he hits on those too. He says, having not read the previous arc fully, I'm still confused at how the old foe is really resurrected. I guess I had those problems too. That's why I read it all. Yay.
Yeah, these big arcs like this, nothing against Bryce for picking a story, because you should be able to kind of jump into wherever, but... if they do a good job, you can read the Wikipedia entry, you can read whatever, and you'll kind of get the gist of it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think coming back from the dead, it's like, you told me, like, oh, these characters are dead. I'm like, really? I don't even remember that. I mean, I guess in a year or two when they bring Professor X back, we'll be like, he never died.
So I was thinking about that. Did Xavier die in the first book?
No.
Okay, I thought he did, and then he was like alive and kicking in the third book.
What they did is, yes, Xavier got shot. If I recall...
But he didn't die?
Hank McCoy saved him, but sections of his brain were, like, permanently lost.
Well, does it not go off into X-Men Legacy?
Yeah.
Okay, I was totally lost on that part.
See, I liked the X-Men Legacy book at that time because I actually was reading it because...
I hated it.
It was basically Xavier doing the whole memory lane, recovering... fragments of his memory that he no longer had, so it was constantly going to talk to so-and-so and getting a sense of what happened back when, so it was kind of a walk down memory lane for X-Men, which was kind of cool.
There was Gambit. Gambit was in there, too, for a bit.
Well, in the first book, like, barely, but he was on Sinister's side, though, because he wanted to stay by Rogue's side.
Oh, he's talking about the
X-Men Legacy.
The X-Men Legacy, because that... kind of folded into Rogue's story, which of course intersects with Gambit's story, and
I like Gold Gambit. It was kind of nice. That was a nice touch. Anyways, I totally like the story. I kind of wish I could see this as an animated 3-part feature, like Flashpoint style, like
I would kill for Marvel to have a decent animation studio and do more animated movies.
They did. They had it. They
that aren't
sucked.
awful. No, that's what I mean. That aren't terrible.
Hey, Bruce Tim, do you want to leave DC and go?
Well, he's working. He's working on Ultimate Spider-Man.
He is, but that's horrible too.
Yes, it is. So
Tim's on Ultimate Spider-Man now?
No, Paul Dini.
Oh, Paul Dini. I'm sorry, not Bruce Tim. Not Bruce Tim. Paul Dini.
Okay.
You had me there for a second.
Stop weirding me out.
You had me there for a second too. I was like, wait a minute.
6 of one, half dozen of another. They're the same person. Doesn't matter. All right.
The two become one.
All right, well, enough X-Men talk till it comes back to Bryce's pick. Toby, thank you for your thoughts.
I worked really hard.
We're already predicting Bryce will pick another X-Men pick.
I worked really, really hard on this. I really wanted to give it the full time. I really haven't read this many books in a long time. I was like, holy moly.
I mean, it sucks you didn't get to talk during the big talk, but I mean, anything you want to throw last minute? I mean...
No. I think I'm still processing it all. Like I said, I went through it really fast, but I enjoyed it. I thoroughly. I felt like, in ways, it's a love letter to all things X-Men that I like.
Yeah,
they touch upon every little thing almost, and it's all the major players are there except for Xavier. But I almost like that because it's time for the young cats to move on, and it also shows the beginning of evil Cyclops. A bit, which I hope it goes worse, and from what it looks like it did, and I'm hoping it stays that way, but it might not. But anyways, I'll have to hit up Bryce for the next giant collection of books. I'm sure it's a wad full.
I'm sure it'll happen.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Bryce.
So basically, I don't have any good way to really do this. There was a lot of really big news this past week in comic books, and a lot of it's pretty bad. So we're just gonna.
So you're just gonna start talking like you did on Facebook.
So basically, Ryan just doesn't want to talk bad about DC. So there's no way good. If it was Marvel, he'd be like, "Fuck Marvel." Did you hear what they did this week?
Get to that.
Well, let's start. We're talking bad about Marvel for a minute here, okay? Let's start with this.
See, that's
You're
easier.
Up.
Look at that. You're warming up. Yeah, you got a smile on your face. You're warming up.
So earlier today, Marvel announced their official release of Marvel Now 2.0, or Marvel Now 2, or as they're actually calling it, All New Marvel Now, which is their sort of second launch of new books with new number ones, much like the way DC kind of did the New 52 thing.
Mm-hmm. But even if they call the next one Uncanny Marvel Now, do not burn down the store.
Yeah. But they're doing something kind of interesting with this. So the first two books coming out, there's All New Invaders #1 by James Robinson and Steve Pugh, who previously done some fantastic work on Animal Man. And I love those guys. I love both of those creators, but it's an Invaders book, so it's going to last 12 issues before it's canceled because no one gives a crap about the Invaders. Sorry, just the way it is.
Now hold on. Would it work if the Invaders kind of transferred to Syria?
Well, I don't know
World War II?
I mean, I don't know who is actually in the Invaders. I mean, does it say? It's James Robinson and Steve Pugh, which is great. It's Cap, Winter Soldier, Namor, and the original Human Torch. I mean, that sounds cool, but the Inhumans have such a terrible track record of
Invaders.
The Invaders have such a terrible track record of keeping books. So I can't. I mean, who knows? I would love for this book to last for a while, especially with the creative team, and it's a cool sounding group. But Invaders it's one of those cursed books. It's like Defenders. It is a cursed book that never lasts. So maybe this will buck the trend. Who knows?
I'm predicting it will buck the trend.
And then Human #1, which is sort of the post Infinity Inhumans series, where it appears a bunch of humans become Inhumans. That's kind of what I believe we're being led to believe. By Matt Fraction and Joe Mad.
Wait, Joe Mad's going to draw like 2 issues.
Yeah, he'll do the first 2. He'll do the first 3 issues.
Joker's getting old. Brock is getting old.
No, but he will. He'll do the first 3 issues.
Last one was actually not bad. That Wolverine one, I wasn't caring about looking at it, then I did, and I was like, that's not bad.
Yeah.
But then I realized it was Peter Steigerwald that was coloring it, and I was like, everything makes sense.
Yeah,
because he colors a lot of good backgrounds in.
I mean,
a lot of credit to that dude.
I am. This is not any sort of personal slam against Joe Mad, but I don't think
you're just commenting on his track record.
Well, right. Well, his track record, but I don't think people care. I don't think people care. I sold hardly any of those Savage Wolverines, the Spider-Man arc before.
It's because his previous stuff is so bad.
Well, I think it's just it's a clear example of a creator who has completely burned his audience and no one cares, and it's disappointing. I mean, I wish he could. I mean, he was the hottest shit for a good number of years, and when he came back, it's funny because people are always like, if you want to save the comic industry, have Todd McFarlane do a Spider-Man arc. If Todd McFarlane did a Spider-Man arc, no one would give a shit. No one would give a shit.
It has gotten a little more writer-centric, to be honest.
Well, maybe they would care for the first issue, and then when it was not good, and then probably delayed, or it wasn't... because when you go back to these things that you remember when you were a kid or whatever, you remember when you were younger, and all of a sudden it happens again, it's like, this isn't nearly as good as I remember.
Yeah, we could name names for a while.
Well, it's almost funny. It's like, not to start the DC bashing, but it's kind of New 52. the surprises were not the ones you were expecting.
Well,
The
that's why they're
surprises
surprises, right?
Yeah, well, the surprises was the Cliff Chang and Brian Azzarello's
Sure.
Wonder Woman. I mean,
Yeah.
who would have thought?
Yeah, and Animal Man too.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
but who would have thought though? Like beginning before everything came out, who would have thought those were going to be the books? Right?
Well, I remember I'll to the day I die, I'll remember this. I, Vampire was the number 52 book on Comic Book Resources, like which books are you looking forward to the most? And that ended up a top 10 book for me within 2 issues. Well,
Yeah.
within 1 issue, really. That book was incredible. But it was the least interested book on their poll of like a couple thousand readers, right?
Yeah,
Which is a good segment of the readership. So
I mean, look at me. I mean, I'm a huge Jim Lee fan, but
Yeah.
the Justice League dropped in my importance level very, very fast for
Yeah,
me, just
yeah.
because some of the other books were more interesting to me.
yeah. I'd be real curious to see kind of, I think going forward with Marvel, kind of going back to Marvel, how these books pan out long term and if they have more. But my issue is not with the books that they're launching. My issue is with what they're calling this all new Marvel now, which if you're not a Marvel fan, you have no idea what that means. But Avengers that month, with December, I don't know how long this is going to last for. It's called Avengers. The issue number is 24 Point Now. Which
What?
that's the issue number is 24 Point Now, but it's also all new Marvel Now Avengers number 1. They're double numbering it.
Just so you know, I'm not filing these books anymore. I'm done. filing Marvel.
The Avengers issue 24 Point Now, which I'm assuming this is a regular 24, is also going to have a giant number 1 on it for all new Marvel Now Avengers number 1. No Marvel, no one gives a shit. Stop doing this. This is confusing your readership. People don't know what is going on. Please, for the love of God,
It's already bad enough when
content
they
of the
switched out characters on the title books.
Sure.
For Hercules and I think Daredevil switch places
yeah.
or something like that.
content does not. I'm not commenting on the content in any way, shape, or form. In fact, that'll be a trend on this week's episode. The content is not the problem. it's your PR and your execution and your promotion. Stop this. Stop it. It's stupid. Stop it. I mean, does this sound like a good idea to anyone here?
No.
Nope.
Does this sound like it's going to cause weird confusions?
Yep.
I don't think it's necessarily going to cause weird confusions. I think it's just going to cause a lot of people's eyes to roll as Marvel's trying to cash in on the, if we put a number 1 on it, it will sell better.
24 Point Now is not a number. 8.AU is not a number. Just stop it. At least the point 1 and DC's point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4. Okay, I get it. That, at least to me, although I hate it, I get it.
As far as I recall, I don't think even Marvel's website can process it not as a number.
Really?
Well, when I used to grab the data from like their website, when you get to the AU issues, they would just be the number because it was stored as an integer and not as a...
So there's like 2 number 7s or 2 number 20s or something like that? Huh. That doesn't surprise me. Yeah, it's the dumbest thing.
Yeah.
And Charlie's right. From a strictly point of sales point of view, it is a nightmare to database. So please stop it. Yeah. I am excited for both of these books. I mean, less Inhumans, but more Invaders. But I'm excited for Invaders at least.
I'm actually kind of excited for all of them.
Yeah,
I mean, I want a good Inhumans book, and this has the promise of potentially being a good Inhumans book.
But I mean, it's such a different take on the Inhumans.
I like how Charlie's always so positive on things. It's awesome.
I don't know.
Well,
the whole take
I like
on,
some other guys here.
The whole take on Inhumans kind of screams the whole DCU Online plotline to me.
Well, here,
but-
Charlie. Let's do this. So I will fully, admittedly, and Bryce and Omar can rip on me next week when they're here. I could not finish Infinity number 2. I stopped reading halfway through, put it on the shelf, and I am not going to pick up the rest of the series. What happened at the end of that book? Tell me, because I know this Inhumans thing has been building.
Basically, what happened at the end of that book is Black Bolt called a meeting of the Illuminati to pretty much say that Thanos is coming to Earth to find his quote-unquote son.
Okay.
Thanos' son.
Right.
And evidently, somehow, some way, Black Bolt knows who his son is or where his son is or essentially he basically hands over this history to the Illuminati, pretty much saying, this is why he's coming. This is what you need to know. Sure, I could probably tell you exactly what you need to know, but here, you have to figure it out yourself.
Wonderful,
Well,
wonderful.
I actually got through the entire book, and it was horribly disjointed, and it was basically just an advertisement for reading the Infinity tie-ins.
Well, the problem with the Infinity event is that I want to say it's the same problem you get with a lot of different events is there are too many concurrent stories going on at once. So when you read the main book, you get that discharge sensation of it's trying to touch on all these things going on. So you almost need to look into the tie-ins to get like the full picture of what happened over here versus what happened over here. And I would agree that that is not necessarily a strength of this event, but that being said, I'm kind of hoping within a couple issues it will kind of boil down to, okay, all this stuff is the reason why the Avengers aren't on Earth, and therefore this is why it's up to these other people to be stopping. Like, I kind of feel like a lot of it right now is just set up for why are the protectors of Earth not protecting Earth?
Well, I think the biggest thing that I have a problem with is it's supposed to be an event book, so it's supposed to be this self-contained story as an event, but it's more like as a core part of the story. So if you're going to read other things, it just adds to it. It's not, oh, here, go read this to understand more of what you're reading. It's reeking even worse than Fear itself, because Fear itself was, here, these two are about to fight.
No, this has
Go
been
do this.
This has been pretty clearly like you have to read the Avengers books to read this. This is a like. I'm not going to say it's not like that because it is. They clearly have made this an Avengers event, not a company wide event.
And
but still,
to be flat out blunt about it, I can't criticize them on that without then say, well, then I need to criticize Blackest Night because you really needed to read Green Lantern to get this stuff going on between issues. Like, yes, you could potentially still read just Blackest Night, but there's a reason why when they did the Absolute, they needed to include the Green Lantern issues because there's literally events that get resolved.
No. Blackest Night had that problem with because it was Blackest Night, Green Lantern you had to read. Green Lantern Corps just added a little bit more to that pie. But Blackest Night had everything else you could have just forgotten. This book doesn't even really give you.
Well, this book is pushing forward basically the Thanos story while touching on the story that's going on in New Avengers and Avengers. It's almost like they should have just set up, essentially going, this book is just the Thanos story. If you want to know more about what's going on with the event, like literally double-sized first issue that says this story will continue in Avengers. This story will continue in New Avengers. If you just want the Thanos story, just read Infinity. And that probably would have worked better.
Yeah. But I think that...
But instead you get these larger size Infinity issues that's trying to touch upon everything.
Yeah. And, I mean, it's... I like the big, kind of event books that, are self-contained enough that you get a good story out of it. Despite all of the crossovers with, wasn't it Infinite Crisis?
There was quite a few crossovers.
There was a crossover, but Infinite Crisis itself was a very strong story on its own. So you didn't need to necessarily read everything that was going on at the time.
And I would agree with the fact that this book relies heavier on reading the more companion books than other events typically do.
If they had done this
as my typical rule of thumb when it comes to event books is, if you want to get the full event, you read everything that writer is currently writing.
Right.
And Hickman's not breaking that rule. He's just writing a lot more books.
Well, I think the problem is if they had done it where it was Infinity and the Infinity books were the chapters of it and Avengers was a chapter, right? And you're reading across 3 different books, I think that would have worked a lot better.
So you're saying if they're doing a Battle of the Atom with
what they always do with X-Men, they give you that introduction one and then they normally give you an end one. But if they had done that like they did with Trinity War, where this is Trinity War, it's going between this book and this book and this book, because they could have done it like they did that. What Thanos Rising? They could have just think Thanos comes or something. I don't know.
Well,
Second coming of Thanos.
Any event, we have other things to talk about other than Infinity.
There's been a number of creative changes on DC Comics recently, but we're going to start with the least.
I don't think I'm happy about any of them.
Well, so here we go.
Go for the first one.
Bunch of stuff going on here. We'll go from probably least to the greatest importance to the world.
I like how you said to the world, not necessarily to...
Well, to the comic
community.
To the community. All right. Marv Wolfman is actually taking
Barack
over.
Obama, did you hear this change on Batwoman? No, I'm kidding.
Well, a while ago, and I think you guys heard me say this, I mentioned this a few times, when I was at the retailer meeting at DC Comics a couple months back, having a conversation with Dan Didio, the co-publisher of DC Comics. One of the biggest complaints that I had there and that he addressed was the rotating creative teams on titles and wanting some sort of stability, the lack of creative team stability leading to lower sales on a lot of these titles. Mm-hmm. And he said that in many of the he said they had no plans for creative team changes between now and the end of the year, right? Some recent online conversation I've had with him that is well documented on Twitter. His response has been, to my questioning of why are there now 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There is now 9 as of today creative team changes coming before the end of the year. On most of these pretty major. What his response was, we're not allowed to change creative teams. And I go, no, of course you are. You can change them whenever you want. However, there should be a natural change in creative teams, not this constant jumping and changing and changing and changing for no reason, and in some cases, very poor reasons. Now, Marv Wolfman is going to be taking over Superboy as of 26, replacing Justin Jordan, who is the most current writer for only a handful of issues, who DC's already had some issues with him not him. Was he the one that was supposed to do? Was Jordan the one that was supposed to do one of the other books and walked off? Or was that am I thinking of someone else? Anyway, not important. So that's one creative team. They just recently got a new creative team on Supergirl, which is leaving, as Toby Sidler is taking over Supergirl. These, while not major changes, goes to show more inconsistency with the creative teams that DC has chosen to be on these books. They are very quick, allowing no creator time to change up these stories and do their own thing. Now, we start to get to a little more, some different situations here. After about 30 issues of these, when you count 0 issues and annuals and everything like that, Jeff Johns leaving another book, which I swear this was mentioned a few weeks back, and we talked about it on the podcast. People were like, did I miss something? And I'm like, no, am I crazy? And apparently I was crazy, and then I'm psychic because Jeff Johns is leaving Aquaman.
I don't think you're crazy. I think it was
smart foreshadowing.
A very weird side note on some other thing.
Yeah, I'm not crazy. I swear I read that he was leaving Aquaman, and he is at 25. Aquaman 26 is going to be written by Jeff Parker, who I've mentioned on this podcast before. While I think a lot of people consider a great writer, I think he sails poison because everything he does gets canceled within like 5 issues. I don't think it's the quality of his writing. I think it's the quality of the books he's on.
Well, I don't think you have to have anything to worry about because DC will just rotate him out after 3 issues.
That's my fear. Or I don't expect they're going to cancel Aquaman, especially it's become one of DC's stronger titles. Yeah. But so I'm happy that Jeff Parker gets on a book that hopefully isn't canceled after 5 issues because stuff like New Exiles and Agents of Atlas and all this stuff, like these books were never going to last. He was on one of these Exiles. He was on for like 5 issues and they canceled the whole entire series. Like he's jumped from one kind of poorly thought out project to another. But he's on the Batman 66 stuff now and now Aquaman. So hopefully he finds a better home at DC. That's nothing against the guy on a creative level. It's just the books he does.
Track record.
All get canceled really fast.
It's not content.
Charlie, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I don't see them canceling Aquaman anytime soon, at least not before it's gone through at least 3 or 4 creator changes.
Right.
But, no, I like...
and Paul Pelletier is also staying on as artist. So
anytime Johns leaves a book, I get sad and just
Sure.
kinda go, I need more John.
Well, I think
Do you pop a beer up and like drink a flaming Dr. Pepper when that happens?
But you know he has
if
something
I could
else
find a place maybe that sold them to me.
because he's off Justice League America.
Yeah.
So Matt Kent is taking over
And
full
I
time.
think that's because I remember talking to you about the Justice League America, and I think it was as a side note in one of the articles on that
That he was
just-
leaving Aquaman
that
too.
nobody really made a big deal out
It
of
must have
till
been.
the official.
It must have been.
because I think that's what we were talking about. Is he was leaving, but he's still doing like Forever Evil. He's still doing Justice League. He's still what else was he still?
Well, that's
doing?
it. That'll be it
Well,
now.
I mean,
But
he's still
he's-
working on the Earth One direct.
Right, but I guarantee you he has another
Oh.
series in the pipeline,
Yeah,
which is why he's off.
He's
these
already being coy about what other projects he has coming up.
Yeah.
So
Now, slightly, I would not necessarily worse, but equivalent news is Francis Menapool and Brian Buccellato, I believe it's pronounced,
I have no clue how it's pronounced, but I know who you're talking
are
about.
leaving Flash. And again, one of the rare creative teams that have been on from the beginning. I believe my count was there were 9. We're now down to 7.
Well, with Francis, you can even count the road
Yeah.
too.
What's that?
You can with Francis.
Yeah,
you
he
can even
was
count the
paired with
road
John's.
too. He was paired with John's
Right.
leading up to Flashpoint, and then
Sure.
picking it up after. So he's been on.
Right, he's
for
been on
3
for
years.
Right, all right, he's been on for quite a while. Chris Gage is taking over. I'm sorry. Chris Gage and Neil Goog are doing a one shot for 26. I don't know if they're actually the ongoing creative team. I didn't see anything about that.
And this is for sure that because
And Francis Menapool and Brian Buccellato are moving on to a brand new series launching in March. It's a brand new going to be a huge, big #1, big event book, not an event book, but a big launch of a brand new title, blah, 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 ongoing. So the reason I bring these up is that this is how creators leave books naturally. Mm-hmm. They do a run of a couple years. They have their say. They meet with the editorial department. They probably say, "Hey, we want you to do this other thing," or "Hey, we got this other thing lined up for you. Let's move. You've done it a good time. Let's move you on to a new title. Let's do this." All right.
And just for the sake of as a reader, they're typically allowed a finale. We
Sure.
wrapped up the story we were currently telling, so now's a good time for a transition to a new
right.
writer.
Well, I know Manipool's. He's only been working on Flash because he said I can only do one title at a time.
Right.
And so I mean I respect him on that end. So him leaving the book to naturally again go to another title, I think is like you said a natural progression. He gets to finish the story. He's had time to say something.
All right.
And
Whereas
it's been phenomenally good.
yeah, and whereas a couple of these other people that are leaving, it's like boom, I couldn't tell my story. Especially with like Superman in action right now, it's all over the place.
Right.
So-
No, it is. Well, and that's
Well-
what who knows what the hell they're going to do with Superman or something like that. I mean, I know we know Greg
As
Pak
long
is
as Pack is
right. Pak is coming ongoing for action, but I don't even the solicitations today. I don't believe he was listed yet. So it's good.
if I recall, he was listed under. God damn it, I think he was.
I could double check. as we're recording. However, so these I consider the proper and natural way to end a creator's run on a book, and this seems
That's okay. It still makes me sad.
well, sure it can. That's fine, and the creators aren't going to write these books forever.
I know.
But this makes sense.
Yes.
Now-
I will agree with that.
This past week, though, there has been 2 incidences that has caused such major fan and professional outcry.
And it caused Ryan to say FTC publicly.
Well, here's what
You're not going to escape that one.
No, I'm not. But here's what happens. One of these is what I like to call fake outrage. One of these is something that happened that is the outrage is completely overblown and nonsensical. It makes no sense. The first one, however, that we're going to talk about this week is, I believe, actually worthy of actual outrage. However, there is kind of this weird lining at the end here that we'll get into. But let's start chronologically. What happened? Thursday afternoon of last week, J.H. Williams, a longtime writer and artist on Batwoman, including some of the previous stuff, pre-New 52.
The detective stuff.
And a book that he has been overly vocal of how much he loves working on and how important it is to him. Also, artist on the upcoming Sandman Overture miniseries with Neil Gaiman. Announced on his Tumblr, on his blog or whatever, that he has walked off of Batwoman due to DC Comics, and I'm going to quote here, prohibited from ever showing Kate Kane, Batwoman, and her girlfriend, Maggie, actually getting married. All of these editorial decisions came at the last minute and always a year or more after planning and plotting on our end. Now, this, of course, led to... Well, he says initially he's going to leave the book after issue 26. They're actually leaving at 24, so we're pretty much done with their run on the book.
And they weren't informed of that before previews hit.
Right, so there's a resolicited previews of Batwoman on there.
And I really like how DC uses previews to let artists and writers know whether or not they're writing a book.
But, so as you can, J.H. Williams and DC Comics were both very vocal about the fact that it was not the gay marriage issue they were opposed to.
Which is what everybody picked up on Newswire, which is silly.
Because it makes better headlines.
Well, it's not just that. It is technically accurate. And it doesn't matter if the truth is, if the literal accurate answer is DC is against marriage of any of the Bat family characters. Dan Didio came out, DC Comics both came out and said we are against we do not want marriage for any of the Bat family characters at this point, including Batwoman.
Citizens now, shit,
including Batwoman. So while I understand that is the correct headline, the headline you are going to only see is DC does not allow gay marriage of Batwoman, which is 100% accurate. And I am not...
It gets more clicks.
Well, of course it gets more clicks. This is where I'm totally with the outrage. This is a situation where DC has put their foot so fucking far in their mouth that it is mind-boggling that anyone in editorial still has a job over this. The plan for these characters this entire time is this engagement. This is a plot that has been running for years. Where do you think this goes? Where do you think engagement goes? There's really only
there's two. Death or marriage.
Divorce?
Sure, you can break up.
Divorce?
Well, what's worse? Not having gay marriage or gay divorce? Honestly.
I know. Well, shoosh.
But just let Joker loose a little bit and bad things will just happen.
Sure. So they could do that, but that's just as bad because killing gay characters, right? Which
gay and women.
Right. It's the worst of both worlds. However, DC, where do you think this is going? They're going to get married.
That's what the writers are saying. They plan upon years and years ahead of time. They scripted to turn these things in. And what they're really mad about is the last-minute changes, more than anything.
Right.
It's hey, this plan you guys been working on for the last year or two, well, too bad.
Yeah, and I agree. If DC had come up to them 2 years ago and said, you know what, while this is a good story, we don't want these characters getting married, we don't want this to happen, you can maybe get them engaged, but you got to go in a different direction with it. That would be totally understandable. Before the plan, in the planning stages of the plot, this is well within an editor's right and all this stuff, but this last minute change again and again and again again.
And this is what's so head-scratching about it. It means they were on board for a good while, and somewhere down the road, some head honcho said no.
Right.
And it trickles down and goes no.
Right. Again and again, we have seen where DC editorial screws over the creators of storylines they've already approved, which to me is inexcusable. And this is exactly what I was talking to
Nobody's
Dan Didio
married in
about
the DC universe.
No one is. This is exactly
that's what they're saying. That's their point.
Right. This is exactly what I was saying to Dan Didio. And he was like, his response was, hey, these books are going to change, and we're going to have different creative teams and all that. And I go, there's a difference between a planned creative change, like John's leaving Aquaman, like Manapool leaving Flash, moving on to a new title and doing all this stuff, and a creator walking off a book. These are so different situations. And it's embarrassing that DC has once again found themselves in this same position again, regardless of the content of whether it was actually gay marriage they were afraid of or just the whole marriage in general they didn't want, which seems marriage can lead to the feeling of older age, and DC is trying to fight the idea that their characters are old. I get it.
Okay, I just have to pose the question just because
Sure.
we're focusing a little too much on the DC side of things.
But I have a very interesting counter to my own argument. But go ahead.
Well, you're talking about the proper way to leave a book, and the people walking off books are basically saying, I'm done now versus I'm done after this arc, or I'm done. Like, they're choosing to
yeah, this has been
put their foot down and say, that's it, I'm done, rather than giving the fans a, not necessarily a finale, but at least a end point.
Well, I feel
but
they want to
can't.
give them the finale, or they're just not allowed to do it.
Right.
They
Well, no,
they want to do
but-
something. They keep getting shut down after a while. It's just, if you work on something for months at a time and you keep getting shut down, after a while you break down and go, well, you know what? Fuck it.
Well,
I don't
yeah.
have to put up with this. Yeah.
But my point basically is yes, we have seen over and over and over and over and over these creators walking off books, like
Yeah.
in the middle of stories, sometimes before over editorial changes and whatnot.
real quick.
And
Oh, no, okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
I don't mind that so much when it's like in issue number 1. But I do question, like when Gail Simone was let go of Batgirl, that wasn't Gail Simone walking off Batgirl over editorial change. That was editorial letting her go.
For no
And-
apparent reason at the time.
Yeah, and that upset me more because that was editorial interfering with the natural progression of story.
Right.
And in a way, now the creators are interfering with the natural progression of the story, basically saying, because we're not allowed to take this book in the direction we want to go, we're not even going to finish our
they
current
have
arc.
been taking it in the direction they want to go. They at the 11th hour, it's what they've taken
Well,
it to is
but-
getting completely and utterly changed. It's getting.
Well, I'm pretty
wiped
sure
off
they
the-
changed it more than once, even.
Well,
No, I'm not even saying that.
There have been points the creators have come out and said it has changed and then changed again and then changed back
Yeah.
and then changed again, all within a weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, see, my point is sort of double both sides, because while I agree with you that there are some extreme cases where you can't live working like that and stuff, I just find it kind of interesting that there's no way at the end of this current arc of Batwoman was going to be the wedding.
All right.
Like, I just, it was coming down the road at some point. I'm
Right.
not saying it wasn't. I'm just saying that I don't think the wedding was the progression of where this current arc was
Well, it could
going.
be. It could be. Let's plan the wedding, and the next arc was planning the wedding. So it could have impacted the next issue.
I actually personally still think the wedding was actually not the trigger point. I think it was something else. It's just since he put that in a statement that this is one of the things they wanted to do, that everybody just kind of latched onto it.
Well, Williams.
because it's the best story out there right now.
Williams his Batwoman stuff has been very, very good, very intricate. I mean, it's Alice has come back.
it's one of those where the creators just fit the book, right?
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, his story is very intricate. So
Yeah.
things that happened way early on in the beginning have surfaced again later.
Well, that's
so
good planning.
It could have had something to do with the wedding, and it could have been something that tied in with something else that he had already set up. So he's weaving all of these stories together, which would end up in being a part of the wedding, where the wedding's not necessarily the main point.
Well, this is, again, directly from J.H. Williams' blog. He says, in recent months, DC has asked us to alter or completely discard many long-standing storylines. I'm assuming storylines. This is me talking. I'm assuming storylines that were previously approved in ways that we feel compromise the character in the series. We were told to ditch plans for Killer Croc's origin, forced to drastically alter the original ending of our current arc. So there you go. Which would have defined Batwoman's heroic future in bold new ways, and most crushingly, then that's prohibited from ever showing Kate and Maggie actually getting married. So, real quick, there is a website I want to give these guys a plug called Gutters and Panels that have actually gone through this nice timeline of creators that have left DC in.
How many was it on there?
I don't know. Starting, with Paul Levitz basically stepping down through Bob Harris getting hired on as editor-in-chief during, previously editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics from 1995 to 2000 when they went bankrupt and almost went out of business. Good job there, DC, hiring that winner. But starting with Nick Spencer, being fired from Supergirl before the first issue hit. John Rossum quitting Static Shock after just like an issue. JT Krull replacing Green Arrow the same month as the first issue is released. George Perez leaving Superman the same month the first issue is released due to problems against Morrison and Didio. Ethan Van Sciver and Gail Simone leaving Firestorm. But that was kind of between them. Ron Mars leaving Voodoo after issue number 5. His script for issue 5 was tossed out by editors, according to this. This is all in 2011, like months after it launched. 2012 was the before Watchmen stuff, which caused a lot of kerfluffle. April 2012, Chris Robinson had a huge flame out at DC and will never work there again. August 2012, Rob Liefeld left after freaking out, and no loss there, but still.
I mean, he had valid points.
But he had valid points, right? A crazy editorial. Karen Berger leaving Vertigo, December 2012. Gail Simone being fired and then rehired within like 2 weeks.
Finding out on previews.
No.
That was an email.
That was an email.
That was the email.
Robert Venditti being replaced by Ray Fox on Constantine before the first issue hit. That was in January. Jim Zubkavich, huh? Zub. Zim Zakavich, writing Birds of Prey and then being replaced by Christy Marks before his first issue hit the stand. Formerly he does Skull Kickers, right?
Yep.
Same guy. Baltazar and Franco discovering their book had been canceled in previews. That's for Superman Family Adventures. Yeah. Keith Giffen leaving Legion of Superheroes with Paul Levitz after 2 issues in January as well. Insurgent, the 6-issue miniseries, got canceled by DC after 3 issues.
Well, you can't blame them on that.
No, you can't, but why was this even published in the first place? And then in March of this year, Joshua Falkov leaving Green Lantern Corps and Red Lanterns before the first issue due to editorial wanting him to kill off John Stewart. Andy Diggle walks off Action after 3 issues. Tony Daniel replaces him as the writer, and then later in the same week, Tony Daniel leaves Action Comics as well.
Well, that's because he never replaced him as the writer.
Well, he was going to, and then he didn't.
He was never told he was going to replace him as the writer.
Sure.
Hey, artist, guess what? You're also writing a book now. Could you also fill in the words in the bubbles while you're at it when you finish drawing that book?
Can you come work on this book? Oh, no, we have an artist. We didn't tell you that?
Mike Johnson, who was supposed to leave Supergirl, this is again March as well, left before he was going to, and his name was still on the cover, even though he didn't do it. Bruce Timm steps down from WB Animation, again still in March. April...
See, again, I can't count the Bruce Timm thing in there.
But you know what I mean. It's just all happening at the same point. The artist on Red Hood and the Outlaws got his cover changed on him at the last minute because who knows.
That was the fold out.
The fold out cover, yeah. May James Robinson walks off Earth 2 and DC Comics entirely. Now he's working with Marvel. Yep. No real reasons given. Keith Giffen and J.M. DeMatteis and Kevin McGuire split at some point on Justice League International, or Justice League 3000, I'm sorry. So Howard Porter is coming in to replace McGuire. No one knows what the deal with that is. And then now this Jason wins a Batwoman. I mean, that is a staggering amount of creators leaving under...
And I call foul.
Huh?
Winnick wasn't in the list.
Winnick just fucking vanished. That guy just fell off the face of the earth. I mean, we don't know, right? These are publicly known problems.
Well, he went on to do stuff other places.
Non-comics.
He signed a comic deal somewhere.
To the best of my knowledge, he's not done the comic since he left, Batwing, I think? He was on like 3 books, then 2 books, then 1 book, and then disappeared. I have not heard his name in over a year. I have no idea. I mean, he's probably doing something, I'm sure, but I don't know what he's doing. It's not comic related, at least. At least I don't think so. So, this whole Batwoman thing, and, I mean, it got picked up on every place.
Oh, yeah.
Just every place picked this up. It was such a stupid, who knows what the hell's going on. And DC basically came out, or Dan Didio, I'm sorry, came out and said, this is not just a part of Batwoman. We don't want getting married. And like we were saying, it is everyone, right? We don't want anyone getting married.
Well, no, Animal Man's is separated, right? In that book.
Not yet. They're still married, but
They're separated though. They're not living together. And then
that's it.
No, the other married couple was
Aquaman and Mara are not married, as according to Dan Didio. Scott Free and Big Barda are not married. So I mean, this goes.
Oh, and the previous
Buddy Baker's just separated, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's what I said. In Earth 2, he dies before they can even do anything with that. Yeah. And then what was the other one? Lois and Superman have been broken up since the beginning.
Well, they weren't broken up; they were never together.
They were never together. And then that's pretty much it, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, we haven't seen Elongated Man yet. I mean, a lot of these characters, just any married characters we've seen.
So DC is anti-marriage.
Sure, I guess.
Okay. Now, there's a lot of divorced guys, I guess, up in editorial,
probably
that are just bitter.
Now here,
to me, that decision is actually almost fine. I mean, if that's what they choose to do with the characters,
sure.
I don't actually care.
Well, no, Buddy Baker and his wife separating is a natural flow for that story.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, though? If that's their choice, editorial choice, going, hey, don't want our superheroes to be married. Fine,
but don't tell them it's okay for a year.
Yeah. That's the problem. That's what we kind of going down to.
And like you said, if it's part of the natural flow of the story, that's perfectly fine.
No, it's not even natural. I mean, if DC made up their mind to begin with, this is what we want to do, this would have never came up.
Right.
I mean, those Batwoman writers would have never planned that stage for that to happen.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So Firestorm never needed to worry about their parents getting married, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Now here's my somewhat humorous counter to my own argument of this being a stupid thing. Indecisiveness is a giant concern, right? However,
this is your own counter, or someone?
This is my counter to myself.
Okay,
right?
This is him trying to be double.
This is like Marvel Ryan versus DC Ryan.
Now what's funny?
One blue, one red.
Now what's funny is a lot of very pro-gay and pro-gay marriage people are very upset over this, right? And rightfully so.
Yeah, okay.
Now, what's funny, and this shows you just how incompetent DC editorial and PR is this. The person taking over for them at issue 25 for J.H. Williams is Mark Andreyko. Now, Mark Andreyko is a name maybe not a lot of people know. He co-wrote some stuff with Bendis back during the Independent days. He's done a few books here and there. However, he's probably most famously known for a staggeringly great run of a little book for DC a number of years ago called Manhunter.
That book is awesome.
Which is a fucking incredible book and totally fits the style of what they're doing in Batwoman and a natural writer to take over for this. Funny fact about Mark Andreyko, one of the very few openly gay comic creators. Now, DC...
He's off the book next week.
Well, no, the funny thing is...
No.
Well, the other funny thing is he got all these people are up in arms about it, the anti-gay marriage thing. How many of those guys actually read the Batwoman book to begin with?
Who knows? Of course, right. Now, but here's my own funny counter to my own argument. The people that are now against Batwoman or boycotting it are now in a really horrible position of now boycotting one of the very few openly gay comic creators taking over a book that they feel got let go because of concerns about gay marriage. Right. So, and this is where...
But the bottom line was that was not the real reason, I feel.
It wasn't. It wasn't. However, this was a part of it.
Yeah.
And so the people that should be supporting Mark Andreyko on this book are now caught in this, well, if we support the book... But Mark Andreyko, there could be some support there because he is openly gay, and we want to support his book because we want to support his career and this sort of an open lifestyle that should be accepted. However, we don't want to support Batwoman because we want to punish DC for having this whole situation. So, an amazing job, an amazing troll by DC to get their own fans in this horrible conundrum of how can I do this because I'm screwing my personal beliefs over either way. Now,
so send checks to Mark directly and just download it.
It's the Ryan Scott method. Yeah. So
does Ryan Scott actually send the checks though?
I made the suggestion that if he wants to download a bunch of comics, he should just send anonymous PayPal money to comic creators and not tell them what it's for. Just be like, hey, look, here's $20.
That's awesome. I kind of like that.
Now, this all comes down in my mind to while DC editorial needs to fix these problems, and no doubt these problems have occurred before and will occur, the biggest problem, I think, is PR.
I would agree with that.
Here is how this should handle. I literally told my DC rep, and I swear to God, I think Dan Didio was in the background laughing because I think he could hear me talking. I can't confirm that, but I heard someone laughing in the background. And
he knows whenever you call the office. You know that, right? There's an alarm that goes off in his office.
When he called me, when my rep called me today, he was like, I could tell he wanted to say something, but didn't say anything until I said something. Then once I said something, he's like, "Yeah, we saw your tweets." DC's PR, and I'm giving you, this is a freebie, DC. This is on me. This is how you do it. First of all, not that I don't want creators to speak out when things are going bad. However, any company with any sort of logic and ability to understand how things work, there's a thing called an NDA. How creators are not signed to NDAs upon their exiting a title or their entire contract on this freelance title. It's freelance, but you still have to sign NDAs. You still have to have some sort of agreement. Mm-hmm. How are people allowed to publicly comment on the private dealings of this multi-billion-dollar corporation and their freelance deal? This goes against all known ways business is done. I mean, you can whistleblow and crap like that, but that's not what this is. If DCPR came out and said, with issue 25, we are sad to say J.H. Williams is leaving Batwoman. However, he's going to be working on some incredible books coming up, and we're very excited to have him. Coming in and taking his place and stepping in the shoes of J.H. Williams is Mark Andreyko, one of the few openly gay comic book creators. He understands the plight of Batwoman and the difficulties of her lifestyle and mixing with the characters in this type of situation.
I totally agree with this method.
I mean, no one would have cared. No one would have cared.
And
while I totally agree with you,
Williams says I'm never going to work for that company again.
No, but that's not. But he's doing Sandman. He's not walking off Sandman.
No, but if they had put a PR spin on the fact he had left Batwoman for those reasons, making it sound like.
But you don't get into the reasons why. I mean, that's the thing.
I fully agree with you, Ryan. That's the way to do it. However, when there's wrongdoing that was done, as a fan, I do kind of want to know about it.
Absolutely. No, I am caught in my own conundrum of you want to know when things have gone bad. However, logic dictates there should be some sort of NDA in place for creators in these type of situations to prevent this sort of outside negative PR spin from affecting them. I'm not saying that like DC is right on what they did.
This is the thing: is with an NDA agreement, what you're saying about an NDA agreement.
Well, is Brock about to talk law stuff here?
Oh God,
really?
Go on.
Oh, come on! You bring it on yourself.
Yeah, I know. If they're going to say you sign a non-disclosure agreement not to bash us if we fuck you in the ass.
That's
basically what you're saying.
No.
Okay. However, that is not the way it is worded, but I guarantee you every single contract for every single other business in the world basically says, if we fuck you in the ass, you can't say a goddamn
it's
thing.
called binding arbitration.
So that is the way business works. So DC...
Well, the other thing is non-disclosure agreement, it gets tricky because they have to specifically state what they're not allowed to talk about, and a lot of times they're not allowed to talk about.
You can't talk about the reason.
Books.
You can't talk about your reasoning for either you're being fired or you leaving the company.
But the problem
this is standard practice.
But that's you run into this problem of there are people that follow these creators.
Okay,
so if these creators can't talk openly about their experiences, and what they're doing and stuff like that, then. That takes the fans and go, well, we want to know what's going on. It's because they're connected. I mean, everything is so socially connected.
But that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Then they just won't take the job if they're not against. I mean, what Ryan's saying, if they don't sign, I mean, they don't have to take the job if they're against it.
They don't have to take the job. But I think that with the creative teams, it's I mean, he left the book because of 11th hour changes. I mean, shit that was changed at the last minute, like. Boom, this is not cool, and everything that's led up to it, it's just it's a frustration.
I mean, I guarantee you, everyone in Marvel has a contract that says, look, if something happens and we can't agree...
Everyone at Marvel has a contract with Disney.
Sure. If we can't come, do you think anyone at Disney
is hardcore?
Yeah, Disney is.
Yeah. Everyone at Marvel, the contract that says you are not allowed to publicly talk about any private aspect about your working at Marvel. And if something happens, we can sue you for libel, or we can sue you for slander, or whatever it is, because this is a private negotiation. If things don't work out, I'm sure editorial came to J.H. Williams and said, "Look, we couldn't agree on this book. We understand. We want to take you off the title. We want to give you another title. We want to have this as painless as possible."
I really don't think that's how they do it.
No, that's how I'm saying it.
I think that's how they
should do it.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
We cannot come into an agreement. You have the NDA. You cannot talk about this publicly. However, and I guarantee you this is what happens in Marvel. We still want you to work for us. We enjoy your work. We want to put you on a new title. J.H. Williams, for the next 6 months, we want you to do cover art. After that, we're going to move on to this new book. You have plenty of time to prepare. While this didn't work out, we want to make sure this is as smooth as process as possible. We want you within the company. This is how
make
it
them
works.
happy.
Right. And so, like, trust me, I am pissed at DC for all sorts of stuff, but they screwed themselves in this situation. They've screwed themselves a dozen times in the past, and I don't get what they're thinking.
All right, now to bring that back to the creators, though, I have to say I'm in support of the creators, and it's too bad this happened.
Right.
And it's sad because, I mean, once in a while you just get the right creators on a book. Like Charlie always says, some creators are meant for books. Like, Ultimate Spider-Man and Bagley with Bendis. How many years was that? That was years. I mean, one of the Didio things he said, I'm like, dude, that was 2 years. It's time for them to leave. No.
Yeah.
If the team is right, that run can go for years.
Yeah.
I mean, look at all the Vertigo titles. I know they're more creatively owned and stuff like that, but if you got the right creators on it, that stuff could go on for years. So it's just very, very sad for the book to see this team leave.
Yeah. Sorry, Charlie, you've been trying to jump in here.
See, this is the part of this process that I agree with you, stuff should work that way. But at the same time, when normally speaking, somebody came out and created a shitstorm in PR, they probably wouldn't be offered more work for the company, at least anytime soon.
Right, but they shouldn't. The shitstorm never should have happened because PR should have dealt with it in the first
agree.
place.
The shitstorm should have never happened. I'm just saying that...
And they should be compensated to get more work, whatever.
For the most part, it's almost like by taking this to the public forum, it's like saying, I don't care if there are... repercussions.
Right.
And I think that's where...
And you could do that and get sued by the company.
Liefeld?
Yeah.
Screw everybody.
Because this type of stuff, to me, it's like the private dealings of companies suck, and it's no one's business but theirs.
And, I mean...
But it sucks when you hear about it. You don't want it to happen. You want the companies to treat them better. But things wouldn't feel so negative, honestly, if we didn't know about it.
I agree with that, but this kind of goes back to what I was saying before. As far as I'm concerned, as you said, it's a work for hire. They're agreeing to work on the book. They're agreeing to publish the book. It's all kind of what it is. As far as I'm kind of concerned, not having any kind of agreement, pretty much saying, okay, you're going to deliver this many issues. We're guaranteeing you this many issues is kind of a silly thing to begin with. And I think the way they keep a lot of this stuff loose, see, it's always that if you could peek behind the glass, you could see more of what's going on. Like, I don't know how many decisions editorial makes unilaterally, then DC comes in and says, no, Bat Family can get married, and then editorial has to go back. Like, at least I personally do not know the exact process editorial goes with the people above editorial, since obviously editorial answers to somebody. So I don't know how much of this has to do with the fact that stuff that got greenlit shouldn't have gotten greenlit, or because we don't know that inner working.
But that's the problem. We shouldn't know. This is all inside shit that shouldn't ever become public if given the way these should actually work.
But my point basically is we're looking at all this on the outside. We're putting our own general sense of what we read into the statements. We don't know. Like, it's so easy to go, it's editorial's fault. And in some cases it may be. In some cases it may have been something handed down to editorial. We really don't know.
Of course.
And for the most part, the fact that people at this point feel, I don't know if it's just because one person burned the bridge, so the next person feels okay burning the bridge, but it seems to be like, as I said, there's no fear on the, okay, if I come out and make these statements, like, I think that's in general how it,
Right.
it tends to work at your job. You want to keep your job so you don't create a shitstorm when things don't go your way.
But in this industry, how long do people actually remember? Like, I mean, you had to go. I mean, there's a few that we remember, like Rob Liefeld and James Robinson. But I mean, do we remember all of those little nuanced
we
ones that happened?
We also don't know 100% what happened behind closed doors.
No.
But we know Mark
and
Waid's not getting along with DC and Warner for years and years.
And the problem
now.
always comes down to no one other than the 5% of the reading industry even cares about any of this. That doesn't matter.
Well,
we need to move on because we're going to run really super long here. I'm not even going to do any questions. This is like the third week in a row I've asked for questions. We haven't had time to hit anything. There's something else we need to talk about though. We can come back to this. This is not a story that'll go away. We'll have plenty of time to come back to this. There was another big shitstorm that hit DC this week, and now this is what I call fake outrage. This is the internet being idiots and being the internet.
Being the internet, yeah.
So DC has decided to do a little contest for the upcoming Harley Quinn title. And they said, hey, we want a fan to draw a page. It's going to be a flashback, a series of flashbacks of Harley Quinn. We want a fan to draw this page, and maybe we want to publish your work. Maybe you'll get picked up, maybe you won't, but this is a cool little opportunity. The page in question involves four. Now this is written by Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Conner, who are known for some pretty comedic and wacky books, like The Pro that Garth Ennis wrote. Amanda Conner did the art on that. Jimmy Palmiotti has done numerous stuff throughout the years. Amanda Conner's art style is very light and cartoony. Right? So these four panels involve Harley Quinn attempting to commit suicide in a number of very Looney Tunes, Tex Avery style, Daffy Duck kind of, ridiculousness. Very fitting the character of Harley Quinn, both in, I would say, the cartoon version, the pre-New 52 version, and the post-New 52 version. And seemingly, while suicide is clearly a subject that makes plenty of people uncomfortable,
I just
Charlie,
have to ask.
Yes?
Did you flip through the Legends of the Dark Knight comic that came out this week?
I did not.
Holy fucking shit.
A lot of suicide in there or something? Or... So, this seemingly, if this book was published with Amanda Conner's artwork, no one would say a thing. However, DC decided to make this a contest. And in this contest is a panel. One panel in particular is getting a lot of people. I've also been told this week is like Suicide Prevention Week, which makes this slightly poor timing. Don't stop my... Yep, that's Zaz cutting his own throat.
Oh, that's Bruce.
Okay, that's Bruce cutting his own throat and becoming the Joker for some reason. Okay, that's weird. Yes, so DC shows horrible stuff all the time in their comic books. This, however, is very fun and cartoony. The first one is Harley Quinn holding a cell phone tower in her hand trying to get struck by lightning. It is not working. Her second one is she's sitting in an alligator pond with a suit of raw chicken trying to get eaten by an alligator. The third, she's sitting inside a whale's mouth trying to tickle the inside of the whale's mouth. The fourth, she's sitting naked in a bathtub with sort of a Rube Goldberg device of toasters, blow dryers, blenders, and appliances trying to, again, commit suicide. For some reason, this Harley Quinn sitting naked in a bathtub attempting to commit suicide has caused one of the most ridiculous uproars I've seen in comic book, like in the last 4 or 5 years. I've never seen a reaction like this to what is something we've seen, something that no one would have ever cared about if it was actually drawn by Amanda Conner, who's going to be doing parts of the other book. It's seeming the most, I don't want to say innocent, but such a non-issue. But because it's apparently a contest or something for some reason.
I mean, you could thank Bleeding Cool with their article ago. DC wants you to draw naked Harley Quinn.
Right. And this is specific shit stirring by certain websites that again blew up. It's a bit bandwagon jumping. Oh, yeah. Not only are they against gay marriage, they want Harley Quinn naked and suicidal.
Yes,
and it's like this is bullshit. This is where internet fans are the worst people on the fucking earth. That they have to be so angry about everything. They take something that is so nothing, that is not worth even looking twice at unless you want to actually enter the contest, and turning it into some sort of problem, to the point that Jim Lee went on his Twitter and had this like 3-hour-long conversation of like, this is context and this is like jokey. Like, no one, you guys just are mad because you hate everything for some reason.
Well, I want to say Gail started poking jokes at it, and so many other female creators too. But
you can poke jokes at it. Yeah. I don't get, but getting this mad about it, I'm gonna boycott DC because, well, first of all, personally, I made this joke on Twitter. If you're going to commit suicide in a bathtub, more than likely you're going to get naked. Just wet in a bathtub, suicide. I mean, maybe you want to be dressed. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, you're naked. I mean, when people find you, you're naked. So.
Yeah. And if you're dead...
You really want to be naked when people find you?
If you're dead, you're going to get naked anyway because they're going to take your clothes off and they have to do an autopsy.
But that's the natural progression of things. I mean...
They're just trying to be nice and not creating too big of a mess. That
I'm trying not to scare people twice. Dead body and me naked, okay?
Is this nothing? Is this the internet once again overreacting?
I feel like this is the internet just because when the contest was up, and it was up for at least a day or two before this even started. And it was after the Batwoman thing when this even came in question. So
well, I think that it's poor timing, right? Because, like you said, it's Suicide Prevention Week.
Maybe it's like perfectly good timing because it got all the attention off the bat.
Well, guess what? Maybe. Harley Quinn doesn't commit suicide. Hey, she's still alive, guys.
But that's the thing is it's a contest saying draw 4 panels where Harley Quinn's trying to commit suicide. It doesn't necessarily come off as, the best PC. Like, again, PR should have been...
It might have been not the most straightforward thing that you probably should ask the public to draw, but on the other hand, as a guy that, wants to get in and have an artist that I work with all the time, first thing I saw, I was like, man, my boy Paulo's got to draw this. Second thing, I was thinking, how the fuck are we going to do this? Because if you read the description, this is not an easy page to do at all. This is actually a really challenging page to do right. So my thought process the whole time was like, how the fuck am I going to pull this off? And let's be honest, all these fanboys out there like seeing naked chicks. All right, let's just put it out there.
Well, this is not
comic books are proof of that.
Hold on.
I just figure there's going to be an artist out there who's going to do all 3 of the other ones naked and then make her clothed in the back.
Well, an artist is already out there making a Harley Quinn joke with 4 sequential thing, and it was Robin in the bathroom, and she's about to throw in the microwave. I thought that was a really cute touch. Actually,
here's the thing:
good.
You may Harley Quinn naked. I don't think this is supposed to be titillating nudity. It's just
not if you want it to get published.
Sure, exactly.
Well, unless you want to start working for what, Tarot, Broadswords.
I think the problem is that there is, yes, we all of us here understand Amanda Connor's artwork. We understand her art style. It's kind of a cross between, like a little more. It's like teenage, right? I mean, it's not completely kid. And it's not.
I would not
adult.
call her our teenage, but okay.
I don't know what that means. Her artwork is very animated feeling.
Yeah, it's animated, but it still has a realistic sense to it. I mean, it's not like it's for kids, like we're looking at Balthazar, right?
All right, let's just say she draws animated style, but it has a lot of mature moments in it.
Animated style does not mean for kids.
Yes,
I know. But
we already know that since Batman is in the kids section. Target.
But you have a character who, if you're drawing it in the Looney Tunes style, in this kiddish style, then there is the misconception of aiming it at kids.
No, they've done suicide jokes on like Animaniacs and old Looney Tunes stuff, and fairly recent Looney Tunes stuff. This is not new. This is not controversial in any way, shape, or form. If suicide jokes were untouchable, then 3/4 of the comedians in the world need to stop practicing right now.
I think that suicide jokes are untouchable, at least for the Suicide Prevention Week. I mean, come on.
No.
So what you're saying is they should stop publishing the Suicide Squad right now.
Oh, hell no. But that's a different kind of suicide. That's a suicide mission. You have a point, and you may come back or you may not. It's not like the world is a cruel place. I need to end it.
DC should totally have a Suicide Squad sale this week. Now that would be fun. Now that's a joke.
Oh my god,
that would be PR really working their ass off.
Hey, I mean, they already dug themselves that much. That was a big hole. You might as well.
At this point,
you might as well.
You just keep digging. Eventually, you'll come out the other side.
So
right?
are we gonna? Should they just rename the PR department the Gravediggers? Like DC's hiring
No,
for
they
Gravediggers?
might. I mean, don't even call them the PR. They might not even have one for who knows what.
I mean,
I think their PR department at this point is just Didio and
Yeah.
it's a monkey and a banana.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyways,
don't call Didio.
I honestly first time I read it, I really did think this was a challenging quest for aspiring artists out there. I never once did think that there's going to be an uproar, and a day or two later, there was this giant uproar about
So
it.
I have a question. How did you get into comics? I drew Harley Quinn naked and...
But the problem is that's not the main thing. That's what the article in Bleeding Cool made it out to be.
I know.
mean, when you read the DC thing, I mean, it was 4 panels. Yes, the last one she's naked in the bathtub with the microwave or the toaster or whatever. But when you read that description, you seriously go, "What the fuck?" Like, how am I supposed to draw this? You really do think that
people are just complaining because it won't be professional comic artists drawing naked chicks.
maybe.
I hate amateur naked chicks. They suck.
Sorry.
It's all right. Next year. I mean, next year they're gonna have Nightwing naked in a bathtub because all the women want to see it.
All right, here. I should actually read a few of these questions here. I should read a few of these questions here.
Well, actually,
we need to end on a better note.
Actually, Ryan, since we're on that, this is a good segue. Was it Stefano? This is Stefano. He brought up the Nightwing Mafia question that kind of threw us all off. He posted on the he clarified his question.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Go on the last week's post, and he put it in a comment in there. If I remember correctly, he said something like what he meant by it, that when Didio wanted to kill Nightwing, that there's a far outcry from the women community not to kill him.
Sure.
And that...
Okay, that I do remember.
Yeah.
And that I was part of this women for some reason because, all go Nightwing rights, right?
Yeah, I bury myself.
Yeah. Whatever. I mean, it's a burying kind of week. So
This is true.
Yeah. Per his definition was that not only did Didio not kill him, but he hired artists to make him look more attractive to females after that.
Well, look at the Arrow. Look at the Arrow TV show. Look at the Arrow book. I mean,
we already have plenty of Ollie porn all the time. Doesn't mean we have to get dick porn. Oh, wait a minute. That doesn't sound right.
Dick porn. Hey, Charlie. Did you read Lock and Key?
I am currently reading Lock and Key.
Wait. Going back, do you know about this? I didn't know about any of this. I mean, his question was, do we know about... Is any of that story true?
Oh, yeah. Dick Grayson has a huge female following.
Yeah, but is it really that they hire artists to make him more attractive with butt shots and shit like that?
I don't know about that, but...
I don't know about that, but I remember there was the outcry.
He's calling the female fans the
mafia.
The mafia, basically, is what's happening.
Okay, sure.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Good job, Stefano.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's Stefano. If I got the wrong name, I'm sorry. I'm doing all by memory.
Jason on Twitter asks if any of us are reading Lock and Key, and if so, the second to last issue comes out this week, and he's very excited for it. Are you excited for the end of Lock and Key? I haven't read it. I read the very first issue and liked it, and I never read the rest. I need to catch up.
I picked up most of it during one of the Comixology sales, so I'm slowly making it through. So I'm excited that it's ending because that's when really nice collections sometimes happen.
Charlie's got hardcover in his eyes.
But for now, I'm reading it digitally, so I still have a ways to go.
Yeah.
Yes, I like series that have a finite ending.
Once it's over, I'll probably try to sit down and read it.
I need to read Trade 2. I read Trade 1. It was really good.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I read all of the first story as it was coming out, and then I read part of the second story before Ryan sold out of an issue. I was like, go! So when they had their sale, I finally reread the first trade, and now I'm reading the second one right now.
I got this question from Joe, and a couple other people asked about some of the 3D comics, the Villains Month stuff. I want to save that to next week, so we actually have more than 1 week's sort of stuff to talk about.
26 worth?
Well, by then I might not have any eyes anymore. I'd be blind and can't read comic books anymore.
More than 1 week of sales, and Charlie, we could talk about a lot of those next week if you want.
I got to read my 20.
Hopefully nothing happens this week, so we could talk about some comics.
And Ryan just jinxed it.
Well, Stefano says, "What do you guys feel the right time for a creative to leave? Any examples of changes done right?" I mean, I think we talked about a few of those tonight, so hopefully I answered that question, Stefano. let's see. There was something here. Let's see. Guy here, Matt, asking about. I'm sorry, Joe again asking about a comic lit class. I actually want to. A comics literature course.
You don't want to take comic literature from this group of bunch of people.
I want to actually comment on that later because that's a pretty good question and get those. Some of these we'll do next week.
Great, now we got to research comic literature. Go back to school.
No,
do they do an
no,
online
no,
course?
No. Yeah, they should. Don wants to know what the NFL starting this week. Do you have time to read all of those comics? Go Colts.
What?
Don asks, with the NFL starting this week, do you guys have time to still read all those comic books? Go Colts.
Not affect
Go
me
Niners
whatsoever.
and Raiders.
You don't even watch football, do you?
I watch occasionally.
Yeah.
I do. I played in high school and I watch, but I'm not a fan of. I'm not a follower.
Yeah.
I watched the good games and when Randy Moss back in the day was actually good and tried to play. That's when I really watched a lot. But
Jeff asks actually a lot about the
basketball.
the Batwoman in marriage, which hopefully we answered a lot of that. Our good friend Liquid from the forums says,
Liquid.
"Damn, I probably missed it, but in case I haven't, I'm wondering why Brock sucks so much dick." So Brock, I don't know if you got an answer for that.
Apparently, I suck dick.
Okay.
Whoa.
I didn't know.
Well,
Didn't know you spawned that way.
I didn't know either.
just checking.
Maybe oh, never mind. It's going to be worse.
Maybe it's my gay porn.
I don't want to say stuff that maybe we're not supposed to say on a podcast.
Toby's the only one who has the gay porn twin.
Hey,
we're talking about gay porn and talk about stuff we're not supposed to talk on the podcast.
Hey, that's a story for another time.
I'm just going to throw this out there into the rumor mill. Our good friend Joshua, who writes to us a lot, says, not a question, but I talked to Ethan Van Sciver at Cincinnati Comic-Con this weekend, and he told me he's drawing a big DC event book next year.
Cool.
So,
Awesome.
That's good that he's starting now.
Throw that out into the spoiler room and see if anyone...
Well, this is me just going, and John's just being coy about it.
Yeah, John's... there we go. I'm sure whatever the next big event book is...
Well,
here's a great question. Because other than Morrison... the only people that have written DC event books have been Johns, Morrison, and Brad Meltzer.
Yeah.
Since Identity Crisis. That's it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Who?
Time for Jim Lee to write one.
Brad Meltzer wrote Identity.
Depends on what you define as an event.
Well, Johns wrote. I'm talking the big single miniseries event. Johns wrote Infinite Crisis. He wrote
Flashpoint.
Flashpoint. He wrote Blackest Night, and he wrote this.
There was the big teams for 52 Countdown, and then nobody cared about Trinity.
No, but those are
Yeah, that's
not
you
an
don't really kind of.
I'm talking like the big event miniseries or something like that. And Meltzer wrote Identity Crisis, and Morrison wrote Final Crisis. So who would you want? This is a question for me. Who would you want to see at DC right now, right in their next big event? If it's not John,
Why is that a question for you?
That's just my question for the podcast.
Oh.
No,
Other than John's?
yeah. Who right
Other
now?
than Morrison?
Right now, no, none of those guys.
None of those guys.
Scott
It's got to
Snyder?
be a Marvel guy.
It has to be Snyder, huh?
Snyder would be easy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind Layman. Layman could.
Layman's been doing really good.
Yeah.
Lemire?
You don't like Layman?
No. I'm not saying that. No, I'm saying it would be a bat crossover
It would definitely be Snyder.
and be Snyder. Yeah. Okay. Stupid
Well, no,
question.
I'm just having fun thinking all the people that I'm really enjoying the writing.
Mark Waid.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I got one. Mark Millar.
I could think of a lot of good writers I'd love to see.
Hey, going back,
At it.
wasn't it when Marvel was really bad in the 90s was when Bob Harris was running the show, and now he's
Yep.
running the show at DC?
Yeah.
Do we see a repeat coming on?
I'm telling you,
Well,
Marvel
that's what
Plant.
Ryan's been saying.
Well, why are we not hating on that guy? We're like,
Marvel
talking
He's
to-
always hating.
Oh, okay, good.
That's why he doesn't have a Twitter.
I'm telling you,
Who,
Marvel-
Bob Harris doesn't have a Twitter?
Bob Harris and his partner Bobby Chase, who, if I'm not mistaken, was the same person that he had at
Didn't
Marvel.
they just hire all the the 90s people too?
They did.
Yeah.
They were involved with Scott Lobdell and Rob Liefeld and all
Yes,
those guys
yes.
coming in who are now mostly gone, thank God. But I talked about this in the podcast. They did for 4 months what was possibly the absolute worst series of interviews on Comic Book Resources. So every
Yes,
week,
you did talk about that a lot.
yeah, every week Alex Alonso does his it takes over the old Cup of Joe that Comic Book Resources used to run with Joe Quesada, and now Alex Alonso, Marvel's editor in chief. He does this weekly thing where he answers fan questions and all this stuff. And so they decided to do a monthly one with Bobby Chase and I believe that's her name, Bobby Chase, and Bob Harris, and it was the worst. And after four of them, they were like, "And we're done. Sorry, we're not going to come back and do this anymore." It was they wouldn't answer a single question. They were like, maybe, we don't know. Ha ha ha. It's like, what? This is the most useless piece of crap.
Yeah, at least
and that was
Alex Alonso gives you like teasers. At least he
those are great. They're great.
Yeah.
To the best of my knowledge, that was the last time Bob Harris spoke publicly for DC Comics, and that was like a year ago.
That means they have a PR department.
He is never in these press releases. He is never. I mean, Joe Quesada and Alex Alonso are all over the place. It's Didio and Lee that are all over the place for DC. But it's like, why in the hell? Like, why is this guy there? And when he was at Marvel, he was notorious for wanting to write the books, for having the editors take over all the shit, for all the stuff, and the writers walking off the books.
Yeah.
And look what we're seeing happen. The exact same thing. I don't know.
So we should send a copy of that Marvel: The Untold Story to Dan Didio and Jim Lee and everyone at Warner.
I don't know if that goes.
Hey, no. I wonder if Wonder Woman is surviving because he doesn't care about Wonder Woman. So that one is flying fly. It's
possible.
While everything rest is
the ones he
burning down.
Doing fine.
Yeah, and then the rest is going down into shithole.
The way I kind of look at a lot of this stuff is there are certain people who very quickly became untouchable to a degree by editorial. And the books that are selling numbers were the point where if editorial fucks it up, and like if Scott Snyder walked off Batman tomorrow, I don't think editorial would be untouchable in that. Editorial would be raked over the coals.
Yeah, that'd be the end. Well, it's funny because I thought Morrison would be in that same position, but apparently they pissed him off enough, so he walked too. So it's funny that they didn't mention Morrison basically leaving DC in that little breakdown too, because Morrison's done.
Yeah.
Did
he finish Wonder Woman?
I mean, that's the only thing he's been working on now, but he's not working for DC anymore.
Why is Morrison working on Wonder Woman?
He's working on a Wonder Woman Earth 1 graphic novel.
Who's doing the art?
Which is why Rucka went bye-bye.
Yeah, same thing.
Which annoys me.
All right, well, we've recorded way too long here. We're going to wrap up now.
Andrew, thank you for coming to the shop.
Oh, yeah. Had a listener stop by the shop.
Pizza today.
Yep, pizza's on him tonight. That was very
and
cool.
Funny enough, and
buy a bunch of comics, too.
He was a perfect example of what we talked about last week with Mitchell's question about Preacher and what you should get. And you said get in with franchise or
some of the franchise titles.
Yeah, some of the franchise titles. And he's buying Star Wars, and he got his wife Buffy.
Cool.
Nice.
Cool. It's an easy way to get in.
I sold the big Buffy one.
If you don't read a lot of comics.
Those are easy to sell.
Those are good books.
Yeah.
I still need to get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
There's only
they don't have 5 or 6.
Yeah.
They will.
No, they will start back at number 1 and call it season 9.
Yeah.
What about the Angel and Buffy? Angel and Faith?
They will call that volume 1, 2.
Damn it!
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I'm sure there'll be a lot more fallout for some of the stuff going forward, so I'm sure we'll bring these topics up again. If you have any questions, you can send us, or I guess first, you can go listen to this episode again, or all our other episodes at www.geekbox.net, as well as episodes of the Geekbox, Good Job Brain, and the Comedy Button. So go listen to those. And the All Talk podcast, our community podcast. Go listen to them as well.
But no Infinite Long Box.
We're getting to you. We're getting to you.
It's the What We Do Extra Shit segment.
Contact us.
Well, Charlie's actually doing a doubleheader today.
Yes, I am.
Contact us at thecomicconspiracy@geekbox.net, or you can use a contact form on geekbox.net. We get those as well. We all have random crap we also do. Brock has his blog, conspiratorbrock.com. Omar, who should be joining us back again next week, has comicsanddecine.com. Charlie does something. I don't remember what it was. Infinite Long Box. The Infinite Long Box podcast at infinitelongbox.com. Is that still just your Libsyn page or whatever?
Well, no,
Libsyn feed
I
page
worked on that. I stopped posting the comics because I need to start getting some data dumps. But
cool.
Yeah.
We're all on Twitter. Ryan Higgins, Ryan, Brock Sager, Comics and Kind, Bryce, who I think is joining us next week as Larson Bryce.
Just so I can respond to Toby.
Yeah, Toby's
What?
Toby XI.
I was positive.
Charlie is Insanity and Chaos. Do not forget our digital comic store, which is now HTML5 friendly. Works great with iPod stuff, iPad, iJunk.
Hey,
Let Toby say his news.
That's comicsconspiracy.comicretailer.com, or you can just go on the comicsconspiracy.biz site and you can get a direct link from there if that URL is too long for you. Toby has news.
I have news.
What's your news?
Early in the year, I took some time off to work on a Chinese TV show in San Francisco.
Yes.
It debuted at #1 in China.
Nice.
54 million views.
What did you do?
Yeah. I did a whole lot of things, but has nothing to do creatively. But hey, I kept peace between the American and the Chinese crew and lit a lot of lights, and I scared a couple of Chinese folks that could speak it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, but open at #1, 54 million views.
So don't
won it by a landslide. Huh?
And you were thanked.
Yeah. And I was in it, actually, for any of our Fabi listeners. I'm not calling you bad names, but if you're watching those kind of shows, I am in the background quite a few times. So is actually the rest of the American crew, because they utilize the American crew quite a bit for background talent. So
what is the name of the show?
Little Dad or Mini Dad. Huh. So it's called Xiaobaba. So it's Little Dad or Mini Dad, one of those iterations.
Did you just do like one episode, or you did like the whole season, or what?
They shot something in China, and then they came over and they shot the rest in San Francisco. That's kind of where I came in. And even then, they worked here for a month or over a month, and I came about halfway through on. My buddy Chang, he produced it, so he asked me to come along. Couldn't say no, so I came along.
What kind of royalties you get in this deal?
Oh, dude, so much. It's not. I'm going to quit this.
Don't forget us.
I'm going to start my own podcast.
Don't forget us, little people.
Actually, no, I'm not getting squat. Actually, all of us are like, man, and we got paid how much for this? And it's the #1 show. Great, thank you.
That's how
we're all staying at the Best Western Motel. That's how we were treated. So
that's how they do it.
But, yeah, #1.
That's awesome.
Not bad. Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's kind of cool to hear. I mean, for when we worked on it. Let's just say we never thought this was even going to see the light of day.
Really?
Seeing that it comes out #1, I'm like, hey, that's kind of cool. Good job.
Yeah. I mean, how do the shows there normally run? Is it kind of like BBC style, or is it more like American?
I think they're long.
Are they?
I think they're long. I think so. I mean, I don't watch them.
Yeah.
But I just know, coming, from Asian families, that, some of my friends' older parents, they would watch shows for days on out. Fuck, man, those shows just, like,
my girlfriend
forever.
My girlfriend's mom.
And they look the same. Episode 13 looks the same as episode 150.
Yeah,
they just talk.
My girlfriend's mom, but I don't know if she still has them, but she had like tapes and tapes and tapes and
and
tapes of all like these Chinese dramas and stuff. It's hundreds of them, and it'd be like, that's a lot of stuff.
I don't know if
that's
that
awesome.
changed, if they're more Americanized now, but
yeah,
who knows?
Yeah. Cool. Don't forget that digital comic store. Charlie, I think, is going to be on the... Have you already recorded your...
It's recorded. It should go up on Wednesday. I'll be on the Heroes and Villains podcast again.
Charlie is like a super crossover podcast star.
No, wait for it.
What?
I will also be on that, hopefully. Hopefully in the coming... sometime maybe end of next month.
Take that, Charlie. What are you going to do about that?
He told me he was trying to get you on that.
So, it's totally awesome. So, no spoilers. No spoilers who the character is.
Speedball.
Come on, man.
No spoilers. No spoilers. But, I'm sure you can...
Who else would you talk about?
I'm sure you can guess. We'll go ahead and wrap it up now. We will catch everyone next time.